When I was a kid, we went to an event, my granddaddy did, and I was with him, and we had a reporter ask me, I was probably 4 or 5 years old, what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I said, I want to do what my granddaddy's doing. I want to be a farmer. And so for 28 years, this is what I have done. When I think of growing up, I had a pony, and every morning we would go get the dairy cows up, whether it would be with Papa or it would be with Mama. They would tag me along. They had a lead rope attached to her, and we would go get the cows up for the dairy. All of that kind of encompassed and shaped who I am today with the farm.
I'm Devyn Whitmire. People from South Carolina, like myself, are proud of their state and everything it has to offer. But even we don't know every nook and cranny. So we're traveling to the most unique places in the Palmetto State. Some of them even we've never heard of. From Discover South Carolina, it's the Palmetto Porch. Today, we're incredibly excited to chat with Ethan Bedford, a third-generation farmer from Hazelwood Farms, just outside Chester, South Carolina. Ethan carries on his family's proud traditions, and we'll be digging into the history of the farm, the vital role of sustainable farming, and how his work helps the local community. Tell us a little bit about the history of Hazelwood Dairy Farms and the legacy that your family has built over third generations.
Okay. The dairy farm has been around since 1760 when it was land granted by King George. It has been through 3 southern families, the McCulloughs, the Caldwells, and the Gastons, which was my mother's mom and daddy. They bought it around 1960. And it has been a functional dairy pretty near its whole life. And we've just kept adding things to make it more sustainable and to help it grow and push it into the future.
That is quite a history. I'm a little shocked by that. That's incredible. What was it like growing up on a farm with such history, and how did that experience shape your passion for agriculture?
Well, the history didn't play much into it when I was a kid. It was just the fact of I got to tag around with my granddaddy and help him with the hay production, or Mama and Nana when they were in the barn. Daddy worked at Timken for many years up in Gaffney, and then he come back to the farm probably around 2014 or so. Might have been a little bit before that. But it's been enjoyable. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I know when my granddaddy first started milking, and I can go back further than that, but they were milking with little small portable milkers, just little tiny things, 150 head dairy. And it took them a long time to milk. And now we have machines that we can milk in under 40 minutes. So we don't run quite that herd size, but we can run 26 cows in 40 minutes with the milkers that we have today. Just the equipment that we run for the fields and stuff, it has come so far. We've got technology in the tractors that can route our fields and pretty much drive itself. We rely more on technology than we want to most days, but it has come a long way since then. We've always had quarter horses. We're starting into getting into kind of breeding and raising our own line of quarter horses to sell. We do the Ag Center, where it should be up and running by the first of the year this year, which will offer classes back into the community. So this farm kind of encompasses everything from our gardens, from our horses to our dairy cattle to hay production. We do a little bit of everything here.
Sounds like it. You mentioned the Hazelwood Farms Agricultural Center. That sounds like a really fantastic initiative. Can you tell me a little bit more about the inspiration behind it?
So we've always been a teaching farm is what I like to call it. We've always had schoolrooms come out, and we do tours with the dairy and everything, kind of give them the history of the farm and where their milk and food actually come from, and with the beef cows too. And so the Ag Center gives us an indoor place that we can host all of this. Right now, we're going to start with just basic canning classes, teaching people how to can jellies, jams, vegetables, things like that, make their own butter out of our raw milk. We've got a lot of homesteads that are popping up now, and the people that start a homestead, they don't have the direction that I had coming up. And so that's where we want to be that missing link to go in and teach them, well, you can plant this vegetable at this time, or you can harvest this now, or even just to live off the land with things. It's a good way for people to learn.
I have a black thumb. I can't keep anything alive. You might not want me at your farm. In what ways does Hazelwood Farms interact with and support the local community in Chester, maybe even beyond the agricultural center?
Okay, well, we've got our store in downtown where we offer our beef, pork, and dairy products in our store for purchase for the community. We bring in products from all over the United States that you cannot get this when you go to Walmart.
Sounds fun. How did the idea for the store come about?
Well, so we had dropped out of the dairy back in '03 commercially.
Mhm.
We no longer sold. I got of age and wanted to start into getting the dairy back rolling, and we started doing raw milk for sale. We started in a little building right over here at the dairy barn, and it got too much for us to handle there with all the work we do here, equipment moving in and out. It got kind of unsafe for people to come in and out all day. So we decided 2 years ago that we would move into downtown Chester, probably one of the best moves we've ever made. And we already had the brand name, we already had stuff set up, and so we opened a brick and mortar store, and it has done well for us. Just to give a little bit more of a central location for people to come in and buy the food.
Beyond the dairy cows, you've kind of touched on this, but Hazelwood Farms also has a rodeo,
Yes.
horses, and chickens. Can you tell us a little bit more about those?
We had some rodeos around when I was a kid, and then everybody decided it's time to phase out. We don't want to do it anymore. And so at that point, we decided that, hey, let's start a rodeo back up. And we done our first one July of last year. It was a ranch rodeo. It was phenomenal, had a good crowd. We've done 2 pro rodeos, one last fall and this spring. They were great. Now we're going back to a ranch rodeo this fall. And the ranch rodeos, I think, they're a little more fun to watch, and they kind of encompass more of what started the rodeos in general.
Could you share some of the other sustainable practices that you've implemented, and why are they so important?
This is something that has been passed down through generation in my family and several other families that I know of, but just that has been lost. Even as far as how to grow your own food has been lost, even in a garden. People go to Walmart and they think Walmart is where they get everything from, and it's not.
Mm.
People like us, and I say that there's many other farms that do it better or bigger than we do, but it's people like us that's where your food comes from. It's not just on a store shelf. Somebody had to grow it to get it there. And so I think if we get back to the sustainable farming of people are growing their own stuff, we get away from a lot of the man-made products that go into our other foods.
What are some misconceptions that people might have about modern farming, and how do you address them through your work?
The biggest misconception is that people mistreat the animals.
Mm-hmm.
When that's not, there are some out there that probably do. Those are the ones that are always going to get the media attention. But the ones that don't, they just think we're all alike.
Mhm.
That's the bad part. The internet is probably our worst enemy because people, especially with the raw milk, they Google all of the horrific things that have happened with raw milk. And so they think that raw milk, that was what it was in 1940 and 1920 and 30 and all of that in the early part of the 1900s is the same way it is now, when it's not.
Mm-hmm.
We have our regulations. We have testing that is done. Our product is clean when it goes in.
I want to kind of shift gears here just for a second. Clearly, you have a lot on your plate, and farming is a lot of work. But what does Ethan like to do in his free time if he has it?
What is that? No, I love being outdoors. Me and Mama, we like to ride horses. We still break and train horses. That's part of the business, but it's very enjoyable to us. I like to dabble in a little bit of everything if I can, but just enjoy the downtime. And generally downtime around here is 6 o'clock in the morning. We sit on the porch for about 30 minutes or so, and we drink our coffee. We do our devotion and everything, and we just enjoy our downtime. So, and Mom and Daddy's a huge part of this. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be as far as we are now. But they play a very crucial role in keeping this thing going and keeping it pushing forward. But our downtime pretty much consists of all of us just sitting down for a little while and not moving.
Are there any spots that people need to visit when they come to your general store?
Oh gosh, yes. Chester, believe it or not, Chester's chock full of things. We've got everything from the Lansford Canal Park over toward the Rock Hill area. We've got Cotton Hills Farm. They do tours and stuff, so that gives a little bit better of a background into the produce side of things. Besides our store in Chester, we've got fabulous restaurants like Hillside and Jean's Restaurant. We've got our state park. We've got Broad River Mercantile that sells all the haybow products, hunting gear and stuff. If all of the farmers would understand that the more we work together, the stronger we can grow the agricultural industry in not just South Carolina, not just Chester County, but in the entire United States. And so like Cotton Hills, they can produce way more peaches than I can. So I like peaches. I'll go buy my peaches from Cotton Hills. They like beef. They'll buy their beef from us. Matter of fact, our beef is in their stores right now. There are other farms around that do the strawberries and all of that. And so as us, we go around and we buy from them and they buy from us. We support each other that way. It's been a hard process to get some other farmers, especially in the dairy industry.
How can local communities work together to support their local farms, to get the word out about these events like your rodeo?
The biggest thing that they can start doing, Google is everybody's friend nowadays. Find your local farmer's market.
Mm-hmm.
Find your fella that is sitting on the back of his truck and got 3 boxes of vegetables sitting in front of him. Buy it from him. Buy it from these people at the farmer's market. Yes, it's a little more pricey, but your money is not just going to that farmer and his family. That money, that farmer buys in the community as well. So that money circulates back through the community. So it's just like a big circle. When you support local, you're not just supporting that one entity, you're supporting the entire community at one time. Don't overlook your small towns. Don't overlook your small farmers. They're as important as the big ones. Mm-hmm. Don't take for granted what you get out of Walmart. It may not always be there. Mm-hmm. There's somebody out there that's got to grow it. I know in the ag industry, it's dying. It's dying every day. We lose farmers by the hundreds a month across the U.S. And so don't take for granted what you have at your fingertips. Enjoy it, be appreciative of it, and when you see a farmer around, thank them for what they do.
The Palmetto Porch is produced by Discover South Carolina in partnership with Pod People. To find out more about this town and all the towns featured on our show, visit scpalmettoporch.com.